Hi, we are back live. Very quick transition with Alex. So how are you, Alex?
Very good, and you?
Good, good. So we are happy to have the founder of Rocks on stage.
Yeah, happy to be back.
He's also the founder and CEO at Collect. And he will be talking about selling to SMB and get your SaaS ready for the NoCode revolution. So
Exactly.
Alex, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Kenta. Talk to you later. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, I'm Alex. I used to be the founder of B2B Rocks, and I'm very glad to be back here today. So we will talk about NoCode. Maybe just before we start, I will try to present myself. So I'm the founder of Collect. What is Collect? It's the easy to use, secure portal to collect and manage client documents. So basically what we do is we're working with a lot of different kind of clients. So for example, when you are doing a real estate deal, you, as a realtor, you need to collect lots of documents, ownership, bank statement, and so on. So you will list everything in Collect, define a process, and then we will send email and SMS to get this document back. And so it's very easy to use. And it's not only for real estate, it's also for law firms or B2B that need to onboard their clients. And we are talking about NoCode because we strongly believe in NoCode for our own development, and we are building integration. That will come back on this later. And that's why I wanted to talk about NoCode today. So maybe to start with, we will try to define what is NoCode for those who don't know. So NoCode, that we can also say low code, is kind of different, but not so much. It's visual software development and environment that allows end users to build a mobile app or web app using drag and drop components or connecting apps together. What is interesting is that you don't need to have your developers to build your own system. The end users can do it by himself, or at least you can have, I would say, tech-savvy people that do that instead of developers. And we can compare this no-code stuff with Lego, for example. So it's just combining different bricks to build your own system. So no-code is really booming this last month. You have probably seen a ton of articles in TechCrunch, Forbes, or I don't know what media. There are also lots of VCs that are starting to introduce no-code startup in their investing thesis. So I mean, this is very interesting, and it seems to be very new. But in fact, it's not. It's a very old concept. So the concept of no-code is very old. In 1982, James Martin published a book called Application Development Without Programmers. And in this book, he wrote, the number of programmers available per computers is shrinking so fast that most computers in the future must be put to work, at least in part, without programmers, sorry. So, well, he thought about having systems without developers very early. In fact, it's coming right now. So I would say it's a little bit later than he expected. So why is it booming now? The first reason is we have a global shortage of programmers. We are estimating that the shortage is about 1 million programmers worldwide. So it's a very big shortage, and I'm sure that in your own company, it's very hard to hire very good developers. And the second part, and I mean, this is going even faster with the COVID, SMBs and enterprise are digitalizing their activities and need to have custom process and applications. The third reason is, I would say, the workers in the SMBs. Tech-savvy people, they don't want to wait for the IT to put on a solution. So they want to do it by themselves. And the last thing, which is very important, is a rise of no-code platforms. So that didn't exist, I think, maybe 5 to 10 years ago. So the no-code platforms or the no-code landscape is becoming crazy. And we can see that, well, so this is a no-code landscape that I found on Google, but I mean, you can update it nearly every month, and it's growing very, very fast. So in this no-code landscape, there are lots of different categories like chatbots, voice, mobile apps. If you want to build a mobile apps without code, but also landing pages, template, forms, and so on. And the most interesting part, I would say, is the connectors that you will find at the bottom, but we will come back on this later. So how does it impact your business, the no code? And I would put a little disclaimer. This is my point of view. So it's not I would say something general. So my personal point of view on no code is that no code is an excellent way to prototype or launch an MVP. But most SaaS vendors will continue to build their platform using codes. I don't think you will fire all your developers and try to build and manage your platform with no code. But it can be a very good opportunity for your company to sell to SMBs, because these SMBs, they will use no code for their own process. So, and we will see together how to benefit from this trend. So the first thing, if you want to benefit from this trend, is to start building connectors. So maybe lots of you have an API, but API will require to code to interface with other software. So if you remember the no-code landscape I told you, at the bottom there was a category called connectors. So connectors will help you to connect your software with other software without code. So there are different types of connectors. I think the most well-known is Zapier. The second one maybe is FTTT, which stands for if this then that, or Microsoft Flow or Action Desk. Well, there are tons of connectors. What is important is to, well, you won't be able to build connectors with all of them. I mean, it's a lot of work, so you will need to make some choice. So choose a connector that your clients are using. There are different kind of connectors, and you need to think about, okay, what kind of connectors my client could use. So for example, Parabola is very focused on e-commerce and Shopify. FTTT is more, has lots of integration with B2C application. Microsoft Flow is very interesting if you want to integrate your SaaS with Microsoft apps. So it really depends on what kind of business you want to, you are dealing with. The second thing is the number of integrations that they are offering. For example, that Zapier is claiming more than 2,000 apps available on their platform. Workato has around 1,000, Integrate 500. So it really depends on the number. What can be interesting sometimes is if you're in a very competitive category. Let's say, for example, that you have I don't know, maybe a client email or something like this. So if you are on Zapier, you will be on the biggest one, but it's very hard to be visible. So maybe you should focus on a smaller connector like Integromat, and so because it's less competitive, maybe you will get more exposure. And the last point to consider is the cost of the platform to be on the platform. So, for example, Zapier and Integromat, it's free to be on the platform, but others like FTTT or Workato, you need to pay to have an integration with them. So it can be something to consider. So how connectors works? So basically, all the connectors, I would say, generally work the same way. So it works with the trigger. So if an action happens, then do this and this. So in our case, for example, at Collect, when a deal is marked as won in Pipedrive, then we are sending a document request using Collect. So it can be the kind of flow that you can use, that you can create with connectors. The second step when building when you want to have a no-code integration is to build native integration. So native integration, they are so connectors offers endless possibilities. Well, depending on the number of software on the platform, you can really create whatever you want. It can be even, I don't know, maybe the weather. If the weather is very sunny, then do this kind of thing. So there are no it's never ending. But I would say there are different downsides. The number one is your clients will need to make all the plumber by themselves. And at the end, it can be very messy. Let's say that your processes has different, you want to have lots of interaction, then you will need to work a lot on the different integrations. The second thing is when you will sell your app, you also need to convince your client to build another tool like Zapier or Parabola to connect your app with their existing stack. And well, it can become it can become dangerous for your sales. And also, some platforms can become very pricey if you have too many integrations. So you need to think about, okay, considering these downsides, maybe I should build some integration natively in my software. So I would say the biggest example of integration that you can do is CRM like Salesforce, HubSpot, or Pipedrive, AppDesk, big SaaS players like Intercom or Oracle, and of course, no-code platforms like Bubble or Airtable. But each integrations will require from few days to code to weeks, and so you need to choose your battles. You won't be able to build all this integration by yourself, and also you need to think about all the hidden costs. So, for example, marketing, support, maintenance. I mean, all their API are changing. You need to update it very often. So you need to consider that when you are choosing the integration that you are building. So in our case at Collect, we are using a framework called ICE to prioritize our integrations. So ICE stands for Impact, Confidence, and Ease. So basically what you do is you're listing all the integrations that you are probably doing one day, and you will estimate so the impact, the confidence, and the ease on a score from 0 to 10. And at the end, you will add all the score, and you will have a final score, and you will be able to define an order. So in our case, for example, we were thinking about building an integration with a first integration with a CRM, and so we did this work, and we finally realized that we wanted to do it for HubSpot, because I mean HubSpot was a good platform for us in terms of impact, because we knew that the integrations we will be able to do will be, I would say, interesting for our users. We knew also that we have different users that were using a HubSpot and waiting for an integration. And the last thing, we had a look at the API, and it was very easy to build this integration. It only requires, I would say, nearly 1 to 2 weeks. So we were like, okay, it's very interesting to do that. And finally, we built this integration. And right now we are trying to filter all the possible integration with this framework. And the last step, but it's when you are starting to be very big, or at least totally dedicated, for example, to NoCode, is to build your own marketplace. So this is an example with Aircall. So they launched their marketplace last year, and so they offer an API and a distribution model to the SaaS vendors. And so then you are not only integration with others, but everyone is trying to integrate with you. But I mean, it's another story when you will be at this stage. So I hope it's very clear for you, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you. And you can contact me if you have any question on my email, alex@usecollect.com, or on Twitter or LinkedIn. Thank you. Do we have any question? I don't know how I should. Maybe Quentin. Can I take some question if we have?
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Quentin.
So we have a question from Nev.
Yeah. Okay, it's coming. What if client doesn't have any connectors? Okay, so that's a good question. That's a good question, and I also deal with real estate agents. So what you can do, for example, if you know that lots of your clients or potential clients are using, for example, the same CRM dedicated to real estate agents, and that they don't have any connectors, you can try to contact the vendor and see with them if it's possible to do some work. What I suggest in this case is try to make a native integration and not don't suggest them to build their, for example, their Zapier integrations. This way, you will be able to connect with them, and they won't, your competition won't have access to this integration. So this is how I would do. But I know that lots of, I would say, so to stay on the real estate agents example, it's, at least in France, I don't know worldwide, but in France, I know that lots of real estate agent software companies, they are very old school, and they don't want to, they are not ready to move on to the integration and the competition. So I'm pretty sure that they eventually will be disrupted by people building their own stack, for example, using Pipedrive combined to other software instead of I would say the biggest play, the old player moving on. Is there another question? I will come back on the Yoni question. So he said, I'm afraid about this no-code revolution. Do you think that no-code could fill the lack of developers through the world? I would say yes and no. So as I told you, I don't think that companies like ours building software, I think we will still need developers to build our software. But maybe what used to require some work on outside, maybe, for example, you have some developers that are working with your marketing team or even on your website. Right now, you can say, okay, the marketing team is autonomous, building the website using Webflow, for example, or using another software. So you won't need to dedicate part of your development teams on this. And so I think that eventually the lack of people will be reduced, or at least some people that needed to be in touch with developers to make their job, they can become autonomous. So there's a question from Johan Gauthier. How should you balance what you build in your SaaS product and what you let your customers build themselves with connectors or integrations? That's a good question. Actually, I think it depends on, first it depends on if all your customers have the same way to use your software or to do the integration, or if you can, I would say, or if everyone is doing their own thing. For example, in our case, with Collect, we are not only targeting real estate agents, we are also targeting law firms or B2B companies. So it's very hard for us to do something dedicated to specific people. So I would say we want to let them build their integration by themselves. But if you know, for example, that everyone is doing the same way, then maybe you should think about by doing it in your own product. Sorry for bugging. And there is another question. To what you know, what are the size of company that tends to use NoCode themselves? Okay. It's, I would say, just gut feeling, but I think NoCode is used by business owners, by companies up to maybe 50 to 100 people. Then it will, I would say, more people are starting to be involved in all the decisions. You need to document everything. Maybe there's risk about security, and then the autonomy of the workers will be diminishing. So I think that's why I strongly believe that it's very good for SMBs and not for big companies. And if you have any question, as I told you, you can send me an email on alex@usecollect.com, and I will be happy to answer.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot, Alex. Maybe you can put your email address in the chat for people who want to connect with you. So thanks a lot for sharing.
You're welcome.
About the no-code revolution. It's like booming on LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on, but some people don't know a little more about what it is really. So thanks for sharing this, and thanks for being on stage.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So we will be back in 2 minutes for a topic about enterprise sales and how to sales to big corporates and how to educate them. So we will be back in 2 minutes.